So in the middle of 2020, when the world was in a fantastic place, not horrible, and I totally didn't think about taking myself out every day, I had heard about an anime that had premiered that was taking the world by storm that was referred to as part of the Dark Trio. The Dark Trio being Chainsaw Man, Hell's Paradise, and Jujutsu Kaisen. Now, going into the series, I really didn't have any expectations. All I heard is that episode 7 was trending on Twitter for like 3 days or some shit, so I decided to give it a spin. And oh my good golly, was I in for a surprise. Holy shit, I actually said good golly in a sudden side.
Bro is not beating the unk allegations.
Now, as a person that grew up in the early 2000s, battle shonen is easily my favorite genre as far as anime goes. While yes, there are various degrees of things which I like and things that I dislike, I absolutely love the genre. And again, a lot of y'all know Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood is still high and away at the best anime, in my opinion, that I have watched to this day. So going into Jujutsu Kaisen, I didn't really have anything to go off of. I had known that the series was doing well and people were excited, so when I actually turned it on, I was a bit thrown off. It did seem a bit typical. Young boy has a demon inside of him, yada yada yada. You guys have already heard the Naruto comparisons that I've already discussed on the channel multiple times over at this point. But one thing that did grab my attention was the fact that the protagonist himself was almost powerless and had to start from scratch at this point in the story. And at no point in the story so far is Yuji the strongest person in JJK. Now obviously that narrative wise has to do with his mentality, right? It has to do with him thinking that he's just a cog and he needs to be able to do what he can do at that current moment to help the people around him. And there were some degrees and some mysteries that were kind of seeded there, especially in the first episode when it's like, oh, well, this young boy, he has all these strength records and all these national speed records that he's just constantly breaking almost effortlessly, and people wonder why is he just so strong. He's casually busting through like a 19 by 24 window frame just to save his classmate. So already I think that the MC has some gumption. I think that he's really somebody that I can root for. And then we obviously see him in just the finger, this cursed object that we see, and we see this malevolent being come out. He's crazy, he's a psycho, he's just super duper evil, right? So automatically I'm like, okay, well, I want to see more of what this guy in particular can do, mainly talking about Sukuna. And as I went through JJK season 1, and as I was going through JJK season 1, each and every episode, I was getting more and more invested in the story. Now, I will tell you that season 1 of JJK is not my personal favorite. It's not in my top 10 anime and things like that. But as soon as I read after where season 1 left off, the course of my anime life obviously changed. I caught up to JJK, the manga, I think in about 2 weeks worth or so of reading. As a person who's not necessarily a fan of war arcs, I will tell you that Shibuya blew me away, and I kept hearing about it, but actually going through it, the massive scale of and dire straits that the characters were in, it definitely felt like it was an Omega level threat for more or less. One big thing about JJK and it's consistent through is that our characters, our main cast, does not win every single battle. In fact, they lose most of the time. What the fuck did I just say? They lose most of the time? Hello? In fact, they lose most of the time. Shibuya, the heroes were taking L after L after L after L after L. And obviously, Yuji still got a major W for him, considering how dangerous Mahito was going to be and how dangerous he was up until that point. And the heroes are still doing their best no matter how dire the straits are, and they're trying to scrounge up any way to win, but it never feels like that when you actually sit down. I know people were memeing saying Sukuna will win the end of Shinjuku Showdown. Obviously, people don't think that for the most part, but the way it felt, no, it definitely felt like our heroes were in dire straits. And I love the fact that JJK constantly feel like there's an air of consequence around the main cast. No one feels safe at any point at all. People are constantly getting mutilated, getting arms and limbs torn off. Now, obviously, those reverse curse technique, it's a little different, but even Yuta, who was the protagonist of Volume 0, he got absolutely worked by Sukuna, but he was putting in crazy work as well. The page where he caught that world cleave, Yeah, definitely Gege. One thing Gege knows how to do is subvert expectations. And I will tell you, there is not a single anime that gives the proper feeling of beating a nigga's ass than Jujutsu Kaisen. I know people talk about Jujutsu Kaisen and all this stuff, but bro, specifically Yuji versus Mahito, oh my god. When Nobara struck Mahito with the resist and Yuji just shows up with the red flare in his eyes, starts hitting with the yeah! Oh man, yo, don't give me a 2D JJK fighter. How have we not have one yet? Bro, your main character is a punch kick merchant. Well, not anymore. But his fighting style, most people's fighting styles, Jujutsu Kaisen, are close quarters combat. How do we not have a 2D fighter? Bro, I'm telling you, the Evo would go crazy. They could incorporate some stuff like domains and make certain characters take more damage in domains, and some characters get like increased buffs in domains, things like that. Oh, come on. Like, imagine a Gojo playstyle in a 2D JJK fighter. Oh my god. I would imagine he would work like Hit from Fighters, right? He's very technical, and he's a very hard to learn character. He has a very, 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 very high skill floor, but once you actually master him, he would be just say, oh man. I'm getting hyped just thinking about it. Now, obviously, I was reading other things at the time. I was reading Chainsaw Man in anticipation for the anime. I was also reading Demon Slayer and a couple other things on top of that. But JJK, I absolutely blitzed. Now, why? Why does JJK, especially now, tick all of my particular buttons? For the most part, the series is not flawless, and I've definitely talked about its flaws, especially the world building, over and over again. But what makes this series so special to me? And before I go into my in-depth answers, I want you guys to let me know, what do you guys think is your favorite part about JJK, and why do you guys in particular like JJK as well? I gotta say, one of the first things I absolutely love about the stories, it's the hands, dude. It's the hands. Listen, as someone that grew up with like Power Rangers and absolutely love martial arts as an art form, again, I've said this multiple times, but beam struggles and ki blast, that's all well and good. That's fine, right? Plenty of shows have that magic. It's cool and all. But one thing I love about JJK is that the majority of the fights are up close. They're intimate. They're tight. They're very claustrophobic. Again, Choso versus Yuji is my favorite fight in the entire series, and that still holds true to this day for the most part. I mean, we've got, I don't know, man. Awakened Yuji versus Sukuna, when that gets animated, that's dude, speaking of that, the amount of people that are fan animating these current chapters of JJK on Twitter are absolutely crazy. These folks are way too damn talented. And I genuinely hope and pray they don't get a DM from MAPPA asking what their schedule and availability is like, because that is probably the worst thing that could ever happen to them. I love the fact that our protagonist, he doesn't have a large-scale beam attacks, and he doesn't come from this heritage of super powerful sorcerers and things like that. I mean, that's what I thought initially, but then, these past 10 chapters happened, so. And to directly compare Jujutsu Kaisen to its peers is the fact that the fight choreography is always so fluid, and you can tell what each and every single punch, kick is always doing at any time. One thing that I feel that Hirokoshi, My Hero Academia's author, he struggled with unfortunately, his fight choreography was just bad. Tite Kubo also struggled with this as well. These are both phenomenal, next level artists, but unfortunately their fight choreography, especially Kubo with his sword choreography, it's just not there. There's not a whole lot of movement. Every action that these characters take is a big swing. It's a big story moment. There's obviously so many lines of dialogue and so many flashbacks that we see, and a lot of it holds a good narrative weight. But in Jujutsu Kaisen, whenever characters are boxing, they're boxing for their lives. They're fighting for real. Take, for example, in the manga, Yuji and Yuta versus Sukuna. When Yuta and Yuji are fighting Sukuna, we don't have a ton of flashbacks or anything like that. They're sprinkled intermittently, but especially when Yuta and Yuji get up close and Yuji's punch him in the face, Yuta rips out his tongue and Yuji spits in his face and ignites the blood. Yes. Raw, the raw factor.
It's raw.
This is what I like to see. Not everything needs to be a whole, this is why I became a hero, this is why I need to defeat you kind of moment. And even still, when we come to Yuji versus Sukuna, specifically when it comes to the manga, right now, Yuji has barely said a word to Sukuna. Now, Sukuna's talking all this trash, and he's like, this is why I'm gonna exterminate you and all these other people, and da-da-da-da. He's talking, he's yapping, right? But Yuji, this disdain that he feels for Sukuna, he does not say any single thing. Even when Yuji quite literally has his hand on Sukuna's heart, viscera, gore and all, he pretends to just let out a primal scream rather than tell him something. Yes, man, yes. No talk, no jutsu here. we don't do that here. I also love the power system. Especially with Gojo versus Sukuna, we get to see just how intricate the power system in JJK truly is. Domains on top of other domains, barrier techniques, all these different things. It definitely feels like it's a whole thought out system, and I love it. I will tell you, I love JJK's power system 10 times more than Dragon Ball, and this isn't to discredit Dragon Ball or anything like that. Obviously, it's influential, blah, 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 because I quite frankly just don't need Dragon Ball fanboys coming at me in my comment section. But the power system allows for so many flexible fights to happen. Look at the projection sorcery that Naobito and Naoya are capable of. This is fire! I think they did a phenomenal job putting it in the anime with Naobito, so when we come up on season 3, oh my good golly, Curse Naoya versus Maki, that's gonna go crazy. That's gonna go hard. Dude, there are so many fights in season 3 that I am looking for. It is not even funny. Generally, I hope that they have Yuji do a little more in season 3, and they probably will. I trust the director. He has shown himself to definitely be competent. Because obviously Yuji just has his, 1v2 with the fucking helicopter weirdos and he fights Higuruma. But Yuji doesn't really fight after that. I mean, he fights the military, but off screen. But another thing that really enthralls me with Jujutsu Kaisen is the direction of the anime. The anime definitely has its own visual identity when it comes to consuming it. What I mean by that is a big problem that I have with My Hero Academia is that the anime all too often tries to be a one-to-one recreation of the manga, and it suffers for it immensely. There are so many shots that try to get the exact same frame, exact same angle, and in part this is due to Hirokoshi's art just being fantastic and disturbingly good for a weekly author. But in Jujutsu Kaisen, this is not the case pretty much at all. And really, when the show actually does try to do a one-to-one recreation of the manga, it sticks out. And they especially did this in season 2 with Yuji's I am you speech. Or the flashback that he has when he's walking with Nanami before he hits Mahito with the black flash. These moments stick out more. And this allows for more creativity and allows for the director to actually kind of flex their muscles and see what creative stuff that they can do with the source material that they are given. Because truth be told, if Jujutsu Kaisen just went with strictly how the manga events went, it would be proportionally shorter. Mahoraga vs. Sukuna was a 2-chapter fight, and they had over 20 minutes worth of fights and choreography going on in the anime. Brother, I mean, I don't think it was 20 minutes. I think it was actually like 15 to 16. But you know what I mean. For example, when Sukuna launches his domain in the anime, you have that nice slowdown. You have these big red backgrounds. Obviously, we all know this is a very high priority episode. They had a key visual just for Sukuna's 2 fights in the 2nd season. So obviously, a lot of time and budget was going into this, no matter how much crunch that they hit the animators with, unfortunately. And when Sukuna launches his domain in the manga, it looks nothing like this. These are 2 totally different things, but they both work. That's my big problem with My Hero, is that it tries to just be the manga all the time, and I think it heavily suffers. I'll stop for now with the My Hero Academia comparisons. I know a lot of people love that series, and I do hold this series in a lot of positive places in my heart. I just do get very frustrated. I will tell you that Bakugo episode was actually very well done, but I would have preferred to see a little more. They extended a little bit, but I think for what they gave us, it was fantastic. That Endeavor episode, I don't know what the fuck was going on. Oh yeah, that was not a high priority episode right now. I don't know why My Hero fans just blindly accept mediocrity. But then again, I'm a Sonic fan, so I mean, can I really talk about anything? Another thing that enthralled me was the designs of the curses, and the fact that the curses themselves, they weren't just these mindless monsters. They actually had wants and ambitions. For example, Jogo refers to them as the true humans. These curses actually have wants and desires. They aren't just evil monsters and just boo! Now, obviously, you do have your lower level curses and, the finger bearers and things like that, but they're actually more rarities. I love the fact that Yuji isn't the smartest. He's always the underdog. He's not the smartest, he's not the strongest, but Yuji, without a shadow of a doubt, has the most heart in the series by far, and it's not even close. Look at the way that this kid looks at Sukuna during their fight with just straight disdain and hatred. In chapter 212 or 213, when Yuji is walking through these slashes trying to go punch Sukuna in his face, this kid is not fucking around at any point. He is doing what he can. He curses his own weakness and he tries to be better. Even the side characters, as much as I rag on Gege for not giving the side characters enough time, I rag on him for it because I like when they are around. I love the side characters that we have, and it frustrates me that we don't get enough screen time with them. I would have loved maybe another arc with Kusakabe before Sukuna took him out. Obviously, Kusakabe is not dead, but Todo is a major issue for me in the story of JJK because we do not see Todo for what, over 120 chapters after Shibuya? Like, that is so frustrating. Now, obviously, in real time, that's over 3 years, but in the manga, it's been what, some months since Shibuya, give or take? JJK makes us care about these quirky and weird side characters so quick. They're so easy to remember. I don't think that the cast is too big for us to not remember. I have a major issue with Bleach because I definitely feel that Bleach has too big of a cast of characters that it tries to inject. I definitely feel like Naruto avoided this issue, especially with the Sasuke retrieval arc, and we get the highlights of these different ninjas that we have. Gotta say, for some reason, Kiba's is my favorite fight from the Sasuke retrieval arc. I don't really know why, to be honest with you. I mean, him stabbing himself is it's raw. It's raw. He got that dog in him. That, I did not mean that pun. That pun is fucking awful. I'm sorry. And obviously the animation for Jujutsu Kaisen is always top tier. Dude, I remember bouncing in my chair up and down like an excited child watching a Saturday morning cartoon when Yuji and Todo were fighting Hanami and she sprouted that tree and they were just running along the tree. Dude, I remember being just so hype when that came out. Even when Megumi's Domain expansion came out, I was hyped. Then Yuji and Obara laying the double black flash. Yes. Just the anime just takes it up to another level. And season 2 with Shibuya, going into season 2, as soon as I saw the trailer for Shibuya, I saw Gojo breathing with the heavy breathing, like all these, fucking e-girls were like fucking fingering themselves to. Oh yeah, this is gonna be straight heat. I love the art style about 3 times more in season 2 than season 1. It's not even close. I talked about it before, but Yuji's wider face and just a lot of the characters being more true to their manga designs and less detailed, so it can be allowed for more fluid animation. Like, you'll have certain scenes when Sukuna is fighting Jogo where there's just no shadows or no shading on him, but the animation just is top quality. Yes. I don't think you guys understand how excited and the joy it brings to my heart when I hear that JJK Season 2 is the golden standard of battle shonen animation. Like, people used to talk about Demon Slayer, but then when Mahoragan vs. Sukuna came out, yeah, man, I mean, people started putting JJK in there as well. Even Yuji vs. Mahito had some phenomenal cuts in there as well. And obviously, I gotta talk about the villains. The villains in JJK are part of the experience by far as well. Kenjaku, he is a fucking weirdo, dude. He is strange. Kenjaku is interesting because while yes, he is conniving and evil and dastardly, and obviously has been revered as the most evil sorcerer to ever have lived, obviously besides Sukuna, but he was obviously one of the strongest, not the most evil. Sukuna never went out of his way to torture people. He would just kill them. Sukuna is not nearly as sadistic as Kenjaku, but Kenjaku still has a sense of humor. He still has the sense of levity that makes it unsettling whenever he does find something funny or he laughs. Even when Mahito is beaten by Yuji and Mahito's crawling towards him and attempts to absorb him, he just laughs in Mahito's face. When Kenjaku kills the guy in the Culling games, I forget what his name is, he's the guy that can explode his different body parts, and he's talking to him and he's saying, don't you want to see what you have never seen before? Don't you want to know if your predictions or your theories actually come true or come to fruition? Is that not what life is about? And you get this shot of just nothing on Kenjaku's face. It's just blank, but you get the stitches on his forehead. It's creepy. It's unsettling. I love it. Then we gotta talk about Sukuna. Oh, do I need to talk about Sukuna? I made so many videos on Sukuna at this point, man. I feel like I'm gonna just repeat myself, but y'all know me, man. Y'all know me. Every time this man pops out, it's a movie. He's hungry, top of the food chain, apex predator. He doesn't even see himself as the most evil, the most conniving, the most dastardly, but he sees himself as the strongest. He sees himself as top of the food chain, and he is constantly battling to keep his title. Very similar to Yujiro Hanma. Hell, Sukuna is elated when someone levels up in front of him to fight him. And he even begs people to give him a proper challenge. I love every interaction Sukuna has. I love seeing that shit, man. Y'all want to know an underrated panel? For some reason, that panel of Sukuna and Maki smiling at each other where they're talking, Sukuna just looks actually really fucking scary to me, and I don't know why. I think it's his smile and the blood coming from his mouth. Something about it's unnerving, man. I absolutely love Gege's art, man. I think a very underrated thing that JJK also has in its bag as well is the Black Flash. Besides domain expansion, you have all these memes of different characters, different universes hitting Black Flash because it's relating a familiar concept, a critical hit in video games, and actually transferring it over to this story. So the fact that anyone with a high level and understanding of sorcery can do this ability, it constantly has us on the edge of our seats as to when that they themselves will hit it. People were waiting months to see Sukuna's first Black Flash, and the hype that it generated when he finally landed it was absolutely crazy. Gojo, when he hit his first Black Flash on Sukuna, that was crazy as well. But then we directly compared them to Yuji. That is one thing that all these other characters can do. They can't spam Black Flash like Yuji can. This is something that only he in particular can do, and so whenever we see Yuji begin to do at least one or two, then we as the audience are constantly waiting in anticipation for him to ramp up his own voltage and get going. Do y'all think Gege is ever going to explain why Yuji can hit so many Black Flashes? I doubt it, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm curious. I love how dirty and raw the manga gets sometimes, especially when like these Black Flashes are hit and you get these ink splatters. You have certain things where they look unfinished, and then we have this really detailed art. It sticks out, it shines way more. For example, Yuji's confession to Higuruma saying, yes, I did it. I killed those people and I won't deny it. I love the series, man. I love this series to death. I could go on and on, to be honest, but I just had to sit here and I had to just explain my love for the series. I wouldn't have my YouTube career if it wasn't for this series. I would not have you guys that watch my videos if it wasn't for this series. And so, yeah, I owe this series a lot, man. I'm going to be very sad when the series ends, but let me know what you guys think about Jujutsu Kaisen. Do you guys love it? Do you hate it? Do you guys think that, are you guys sad that Jujutsu Kaisen is coming up on its final arc? I'm very curious what you guys think. Yeah, it's me, your boy Daffy, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this video. Please make sure you leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Now make sure you take care of yourselves, guys, and have a good one. Peace.